Caribbean chef, right? To see your vision on the plate and to taste your aesthetic. And your culture was really, really a wonderful experience.
Thank you.
Ooh, okay, this is my actual final question. You brought up the restaurants, and I realized I forgot to talk about the actual restaurant. So you have 3 distinct restaurants, and I think that's actually for a Caribbean chef, that's actually quite unique, right? In any city, but especially here in New Orleans, to have 3 distinct restaurants. Can you talk us through the opening of the first one and then going to the next, because one of them is fine dining, right? One of them is like, you know, kind of like mid-tier, and then you have a new third one that's very cultural. So talk us through the 3 distinctions of the restaurants, and then highlight the process of how that even happened, that you are now, frankly, one of the most renowned Caribbean chefs in the city that has 3 distinct offerings.
So when I first opened Copa La Fe, I had trained under French, Italian chefs when I moved to this country. And when I got the opportunity to open my first restaurant, they said, "Oh, what's the cuisine?" And I kind of paused for a second because I had never been asked that. I was always told, "You're working for me, these are my recipes, you're gonna follow it like this." And to be given the opportunity to say, "Well, I'm just gonna cook my food," you know, I just never had that opportunity. So for me, I had to stop and say, okay, well, I'm gonna really cook the food that I want people to know. When I tell people I'm from St. Lucia, they didn't know where St. Lucia was. They think it's part of the Virgin Islands. So my whole process of having this restaurant is to tell people, like, listen, I'm from St. Lucia, it's all the way down, it's next to Barbados, in between Martinique. And I really pushed that narrative because I wanted people to know that the Caribbean is not just about jerk chicken, there's more to it. So having things like curried goat on the menu is very special to me. Having things like soursop that my mom used to make growing up. So my whole thought process was, this is where I'm from, this is what we cook. You know, we put a cow foot soup on, and I didn't think people were going to, you know, understand it, and people love it, but I was very unapologetic of where I was coming from. And that was the first restaurant that people could also relate to here, because I think New Orleans has a lot of similarities to the Caribbean, so people could understand the flavors, the spices. So for me, it was a very easy introduction to the city. And then opening Babs, which is a neighborhood restaurant, doing Italian with Creole flair, was just something I think that I enjoyed to eat. So I was being a little bit selfish with the second restaurant. And then the third restaurant we have at Caesar's Casino, which is Caribbean fast casual. And the goal of that was to basically show people like, hey, Caribbean food is really good, and you can have all these flavors, and it doesn't have to be at the fine dining level, but you can have it at all different levels. So hopefully this will go to scale, but we'll see.
Thank you so much. And I heard you said cow foot. Immediately I'm like, oh, pied boeuf. So are you saying you're serving these people at the fancy, they're getting pied boeuf, cow foot at the fancy restaurant? Y'all hear that, Haitians? I think this on purpose because there are times where I think a lot of island people, including our Haitians, we don't always think that some of the things that we enjoy could be high holding. We think something else is. Right. And everything that we have to offer can be fine dining, can be haute cuisine, can be fine anything. So it's beautiful. So Compère Latin is one of the top restaurants in New Orleans. And New Orleans is one of the top food industry cities in the world. And you have one of the top chefs serving really home dishes from her island. I want to make sure that we put emphasis on that so that we know that our culture at any point in time can be served any way we want to. Back to Lashonda's point about self-determination. We have to see the value in our culture and the authenticity of our culture, not make it palatable for other people, but making it an invitation to our home. That's what the food is, right? It's an invitation to come to home together, and we can do that on our own terms. So I want to open up the floor for more discussion, especially from our Zoom participants. We know that we have one incredible chef just joined us, Chef Stéphane Durand. Hi, Chef. And we have a few other folks, so I wanted to make sure we said hello to y'all. If you could just say your name, where you're calling from, and the dish that reminds you the most of home.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. I'm tipping off my hat to Chef Nina Compton. You are someone that I look up to quite a bit. Even though we haven't met, believe me not, I've been following you for a long time. Haiti to me is culture, and Haiti to me is food. And if you want to talk about Haiti, you got to talk about food first, in my opinion. You know,
What's
Nina,
your favorite dish, Chef? What's your favorite dish that reminds you of home?
What is my favorite dish coming from Haiti? I'm gonna share with you that one of my favorite dishes is called Kalalu Gombo. So Kalalu Gombo is okra in English, and gumbo, which everybody knows in New Orleans, which comes from the word okra. Well, guess what? Our Kalalu Gombo is prepared with jonjon, which is the black mushroom that you find in Haiti, and it's stewed and salted pork that's been cooked in that jonjon, and you serve that with white rice. So very similar to New Orleans, but really a story about Haiti, but a story also about Africa.
Thank you so much, Chef. Who else joined us, Regine? I feel like we have a few more other people.
Olivier Gantier, Oliga, can you hear us? You want to share a few words?
Yes, guys, I can hear you guys.
Okay. So your name, where you are based, and the dish that reminds you the most of home.
Okay, I'm Haitian. I'm Haitian. I'm based actually in Los Angeles, but my favorite dish has been always like and legume. I really love that. So I think it's not a much complicated dish, but I like it.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Thank you. And is there one other person?
Two more people. There's Sandra in that corner.
Sandra, okay. Sandra, can you unmute and share your name, where you're based, and a dish that reminds you the most of home?
Hi everyone. I'm trying to turn my camera on, and for some reason it's not turning on. But I'm Sandra Flovella, and I'm currently based in Florida, but originally from Cap Haitian, Haiti, which we call OCAP if you're from there. So my favorite dish is the juri and the chicken the rice and the chicken that we serve with noix, which is the cashew that we boil and serve that within the chicken, the gravy or the sauce we call it. So that is a staple of Cap Haitian where I'm from, and we all love it. So thank you so much for having me to this wonderful event, and thank you, ladies, and I congratulate you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. That's poulet au noir for those who know, or poulet at noir. And I think we have one more person. I think Sarah is here. Sarah, can you unmute? Tell us your name, where you're based, and the dish that reminds you the most of home. Thank you. You have to unmute, dear. We can't hear you. You know what you can type it in the chat. Your full name, where you're based, and the dish that reminds you of home. Okay, I want to make sure, just out of respect for time, I want to make sure that we open up the floor. Now, you all heard LaShonda and Chef Nina give us some really powerful insights into, one, how folks come together here in New Orleans to respond to major crises like the pandemic, like the hurricanes, how the institutions who are part of the Puerto Rico of the city come together to respond to people's needs, the community's needs, and to center that. We also heard about, as an entrepreneur and a business owner, how you adapt and adjust accordingly. So I wanted to open up the floor to folks on Zoom to share your experiences with, especially because it's mostly Haitian folks on Zoom, right? And we have some Haitian entrepreneurs. I'm gonna put some people on blast, so maybe some of y'all my friends, I could do it. But I think it's important for us to talk about the adaptability of being a Caribbean entrepreneur, and specifically being a Haitian entrepreneur, right? So we have Stéphane Jean-Baptiste is still with us, Samuel Damius is with us, Chef Stéphane Julien with us. If one of you are open to speaking about one or two ways you have had to adapt as a creative entrepreneur, to adapt for whatever crisis, whether it's the pandemic, whether it's what's happening in Haiti, so that folks can hear your experiences and make it as brief as possible.
If I may, I love what Chef Nina mentioned earlier. For me, adaptability is to stay true to your story, and to stay true to the story that you're trying to tell, and that you're trying to share with others. And it's also to stay true to where you come from. I think people especially today love genuine people. If you come to be genuine, and you're not trying to fake that story, I think that's where you become more adaptable to anything. And I've tried to stay true to who I am, and where I come from, and the story that I'm trying to tell, so that people can receive me a different way.
Thank you so much, Chef. That's really powerful. Stay true to the story. So you may have to adapt, but make sure that you're staying true to the story that you are sharing with other people through the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for that. Stefan, or, we have someone else wants to. Up top, we have some more hand raised.
Oh, that's Jasmine.
Oh, Jasmine, go ahead. You can unmute yourself and share.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention here, great job, everyone, on really just highlighting, the real importance of having a collective. And I think what I do as a consultant is work with business owners who really need to understand more of their financials, so that they can leverage through those one-time events like the pandemic, et cetera. And I think that there's more need. There's a real great need within the community to have different mechanisms in place so that they can survive. And surviving is the minimum, right? We want to be able to always focus on leveraging and having enough resource, financial resource, relationship resource, whether it's leveraging what you have as product as a collective and maybe sharing, creating different avenues so that sourcing is not always going to be an issue. A lot of times when I work with Caribbean owners in the aesthetic space, there's a real financial, many of the owners have that burden themselves, and they don't like to necessarily get loans or have investors that are outside of their own resource. So I would love to see where that could really get engaged to a new level, so that we can participate in some of the same financial opportunities that I think what you're saying, moving forward with this particular project in New Orleans. So really just creating those entities, those systems, and those strategies that are going to forge opportunity for long term, and not just for like a singular event or a time period that's really short term. So I just wanted to share that, just as we're thinking, as we're collecting, information, it's to position ourselves so that we can benefit, we can profit, have to say the word, not just thrive, or not just survive, rather.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, for that. Does that mean you provide consulting too? Is that an opportunity? Did I hear that you are a consultant to business owners? We have several business owners here. Are you offering your services?
Yeah, there are some real strategies that you can set yourself up from the foundation, whether you're a new business owner or a mature business owner. There are some ways that your finances really should be set up so that you're not overspending, whether it's the cost of, the goods that you're then using inside of your menu, for example. You need to know what those multipliers are for you. And if you don't have that clarity in your business, it's constantly an up and down, right? And you should be able to survive whether or not, we have an event. And it really comes down to having emergency contingency plans in place so that your resources, whether it's inventory, managing that well, making sure that your timing, how long it's taking to prep, how long it's taking to actually get the food to table. It's very similar to the aesthetic business in that everything has to be streamlined. And if not, it's going to drag you down, which means impact your profitability. But yeah, I mean, I'm family with Regine. Hi, Tati. And I would love to, speak to anybody outside of this, but I think it's a really important thing. We are very well known for our creativity, for our artistic abilities, for our cuisine. But I don't often hear the conversation about really structuring the business so that it can survive all of these different things in business today, especially with economic ups and downs and levers that are pulling. People don't want to spend. Why would they want to spend with you? You've got to develop those, whether it's membership type loyalty programs in place, because people will spend money up to 30% more just because the experience was wonderful. So that's another area of opportunity, just making sure that we are not just serving food, that we are caring, we are giving a piece of our heart on that table, and that is consistently with training team to have that voice, that singular mission, vision, value proposition that has to be conveyed. Otherwise, they're going to just spend with you whenever they feel like it. And that's just not sufficient to get you through downturn economies. It's got
Thank
to
you
be
so
more.
much for that. Thank you so much. So Jasmine, we will be following up with you because I'm sure there are people there who are like, oh, there are some key things you said about running the businesses, the more concrete aspects of this that are important. We're gonna take our final comment from Dr. Gera Nicola, just so we can wrap things up and respect the time that we allotted for this conversation. So Dr. Gera Nicola, you will have the last word from our virtual participants.
Sounds like a pressure point. I'm representing the virtual crew, right? So thank you so much. I wanted to ask a question. I'm so excited that our chef honorees from Haiti Community Trust Kutipeyim are here today as a part of this conversation. And the larger question that I have is around the role that we think that entities that may not be in the culinary space. And let me just give a shout out to Sandra, who's here. Sandra is here and she's from Haiti. I don't know if you guys know Haiti, that's really doing this beautiful tea program that is essential part of I think what's happening in the community in Valoise, Sanoguin. I would love to hear the role that you think that other entities can play in elevating and promoting, right, the culinary, right, the food that we have within our culture. For example, we know that maimuli until we made it polenta. Maybe people don't value it the same way. We have the same thing right now with lamb véritable or pitimi or blé and other things. Just wanted to hear your thoughts around, beyond your sectors, what role do you think other entities can play in terms of promoting, right, the culture through the cuisine?
That sounds like a great question for LaShonda, because Ashe Cultural Arts Center is actually promoting cultural equity in many different ways. And so would love to hear you respond to that question.
So we don't have a lot of time, so I won't stand on the soapbox, but I will say that the first thing that comes to mind is leveraging our position, our privilege, our proximity to power. And so that is talking about these dishes, that is talking about these restaurants, that's talking about the groups and the folks and the people and the centers that represent the culture that we want to represent in the way that we want to represent it, in a light that emphasizes its importance, that emphasizes its relevance, and that centers it, right? Part of the challenge, I think, that I hear when we talk about, you mentioned it, Manoli, I just heard it here virtually, is that our value of our culture and our food and our way is often through the lens of an oppressive experience, right? Through the lens of colonization. And so our ability to individually and collectively elevate these conversations, the cuisine, the culture, in a way that is through our own lens. And the word is escaping me, but that we give legitimacy to, that we validate, it's not the word, we're almost there, but it'll come to me. But essentially that we are the ones to say what something is worth, why is it meaningful, and not denigrating our own culture and our own ways of thinking and being. For me, that's the first thing that comes up, right? That we as organizations, that we as individuals, that we as collectives talk differently about who we are, we talk differently about our culture, and that we change narratives rather than respond to narratives.
Right? Gems.
Literally my work. So thank you so much for that, because I think here in New Orleans is distinct in that there are spaces like Ashe Cultural Center that actually shows community how to do this. That might not always exist in other spaces. And so I do think that one opportunity is for the Haitian community to get to know Ashe Cultural Center more and to be more involved. And so I think for those of you who, this is such a great question, Dr. Guerra, because I think that a lot of Haitian people want to figure out how to do that in a way that's much more collective and strategic. And so an opportunity that is to connect more with New Orleans through institutions like Ashe Cultural Center to figure out how they do it so well here and what we can learn from those strategies. And also what we can learn about what does it mean to be a community institution that responds to needs while self-determining the lens through which it does it. Ashe does not compromise its African diaspora mission in order to meet the needs with some institutions that may have more financial power. So I think that it's important for us to learn from that, how to do that together and how to bring people together, because Ashe does not work in silo, it works in community with other cultural institutions to do this. So we have a lot as Haitian community to learn from this. And also I would say, back to Dr. Guerra's point, in terms of changing the narrative, in order to change the narrative, you have to start from a different place. So it starts with the value. We have to put value on every aspect of our cuisine and our overall culture in order for us to actually shift the narrative. It can't be from where other people are from. What Chef Nina did was say, y'all don't know what St. Lucia is? That's cool. I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna give you what you think you're gonna get. I'm gonna give you St. Lucian food in my version of it, right? Is she started from her perspective. And I think that that's a really important framework to have, but also to connect with folks like Chef Nina. So having opportunities for our chefs on our Zoom to connect with Chef Nina, I think is one thing that Viva IT can do, right? To actually make those connections, to see, okay, how, for our Haitian chefs to learn from you and to possibly even collaborate with you, right? With their own endeavors. So I see that as potential collaboration here. And the last thing I'll say is, I do think that, as a follow-up to this, she's gonna reach out to y'all, and follow-up is really key here to make sure that this conversation doesn't just stay a conversation, that it actually moves into collective action. So my call to action to y'all before Eugene does her final call, her invitation, I should say, is to really respond to the email and the calls, because when Eugene's gonna call you as a follow-up to this conversation, is to figure out how can we partner to support whatever business or endeavor that you're in, and to make sure that the Haiti-New Orleans connection is a way for our Haitian entrepreneurs, tastemakers, culture bearers to learn and to connect and to make the monies, y'all. LaShonda wants to say one last word, and then we're gonna pass it to Virginie to give our final call to action.
Thank you. You said something that triggered for me, something I think is important. Part A, B, or C, I'm not sure, of this for me is also thinking about your organization, your restaurant, your business, your asset, as an asset, and as something that is a vehicle that's bigger than what it is today. That's bigger and beyond what it might be in its name at its surface. So your restaurant, your community center, your institution, your community group can be a catalyst for change by thinking about all the ways in which you can leverage that asset to enact a theory of change. So my call to you is to identify what your theory of change is. When I think about the theory of change for Ache, it's centering art and culture and artistic culture bearers, and elevating the people, places, and philosophies of the African diaspora. We center there, we start there, and we believe that from that place, change happens. And so my call to all those online and here is to think about what is your theory of change. What is it that your asset, your skill, your gift, your business, your culture, your cuisine, how it can be used and leveraged to enact change, to change narratives, to change lives, and how can you use that business differently? Can people come to your business and learn, get access to other resources? What else can we do with that space, that conversation, that cuisine?
Thank you so much. That's a great segue to Virginie's call to action.
All right, thank you, ladies. This was such an enriching experience. I love what we've been doing, and I feel like with every conversation, it just gets better and better. This journey of exploring really what's already happening in New Orleans, the connections with Haiti, and how we can just keep improving and making it better and stronger as a collective is empowering. It really shows the potential for a brighter future, a different future where all of us see ourselves actually doing something about it. And I loved your final words, LaShonda, about how we can leverage what we already have. I think we're more powerful than we give ourselves credit to. We already have a lot, and we could just, with doing a deeper dive in what we have, what we are, what we want to do. It's an easy shift. We just have to think about it in a different way to really ignite that. So I want to thank everyone for being here with us today, for your participation, for your contribution really to this collective effort. Showing up is an important step, continuing this journey together is what's gonna really make this grow into something that is beneficial for our community, as a whole. So today was, this weekend was about music, about Creole gastronomy. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's, you know, this exploratory journey that we've been on, this season is still moving forward. It's still going. The next one that we have will be focusing on music in May. So May 10th through 12th will be our next weekend for Revive IEC Cultural Encounters, and just continuing to build off of the connections that are established throughout this process to continue the effort of reviving IEC in New Orleans with our pillars here in New Orleans that are already doing great things, and seeing how we can continue enriching not only the experiences for everyone, but also enriching everyone's pockets as well. Like we need to support our communities, our peoples, and not being scared to spend money within our businesses, within our organizations. This is part of the shift that we have to do. And already planting seeds in the minds of everyone who's with us here today. You know, these are all stepping stones to get to something great. And as we mentioned, Revive IEC is about creating and is about co-creating and establishing this dedicated space for Haiti in New Orleans, in partnership with the institutions in New Orleans. So October 26th, I'm already planting this date in you guys' mind, because this will be a fundraiser that we will have so that Revive IEC can stand on its own 2 feet. And as a community, ensuring that it meets the needs, it meets our needs that we've already determined, so that IEC can be properly revived in New Orleans. So thank you everyone for being here with us. Everyone has my phone number, everyone has my email. Don't hesitate to contact me. You know, I will be contacting you as well. So looking forward to the revival that we're gonna be doing together for Haiti. So thank you, everyone. Hey, boo-boo. Yeah, I see people in the chat saying thank you for these exchanges, the contacts. People are asking for contact info for everyone else so that they can be in touch. Absolutely, with pleasure. We can help facilitate that. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Dr. Nicola. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. And looking forward to remaining in contact with you. Yeah. All right.
Good job, good job.
Right.
Good job.
Nice meeting you. Yeah.
Good job.
I will see you.